December 7, 1941. It was the last day of history, after which the world map was about to change forever. A disaster was about to break out on the U.S. Navy base, which no one knew about. An African-American sailor on a battleship, Doris Miller, serves breakfast to the Navy officers as soon as the sun rises, and then starts working on their laundry collection. At exactly 7:57 in the morning, Doris hears a siren. A siren that probably no sailor wants to hear in their service. He immediately goes outside and is surprised to see that the entire sky is covered with Japanese bomber aircraft. At the same time, a disaster broke out on the entire naval base, because the Japanese aircraft started destroying American ships one by one. This attack was carried out on the Pearl Harbor base in the US, and today we will know why Japan had the courage to attack a country like America. Why was a sailor named Doris Miller awarded the biggest award in the United States, and why did the United States launch a nuclear attack on Japan? But our interesting story begins in 1941, when in World War II, America put everything on the line to save China. Yes, the same China that America is openly speaking against today in 2023. It happened that 3 years had passed since World War II started, in which Germany and Italy were on one side, while Britain, Netherlands, and France were on the other side. There was no part of America in this war. America was completely neutral, because instead of the damage caused in World War I, America wanted to keep itself completely separate from the war in Europe and Asia. But there was one country that was constantly harassing America, and that was Japan. Because Japan had a shortage of natural resources, and Japan wanted to take control of its own neighboring countries, so that it could complete its natural resources. Korea, Taiwan, Australia, Malaysia, India, and many other countries were also under the control of Japan. It also had an eye on the Philippines, Malaysia, and Indonesia. But the problem was that Malaysia was a British colony, Indonesia was a Dutch colony, and the Philippines was a neutral American colony. It didn't seem right for these countries to take over other countries of Japan, because behind Japan was actually Hitler's hand, and Hitler was Britain's and America's enemy. Seeing Japan's actions, in July 1941, America stopped giving oil to Japan. Japan didn't have its own oil, but it imported 80% of its demand from America. America put forth the condition that it would first have to leave its position in China, and then go to Japan. On the one hand, if it had left its control in China, the whole world would have thought that despite Hitler's support, it had thrown itself in front of America. On the other hand, Japan's hold on oil was already weakening. Japan decided that it would not return its troops from China. Instead, it made a plan that it would take over Indonesia for oil, but this was not an easy task. As we already know, Indonesia was a colony of the Netherlands at the time, and to reach there, it was necessary to first take over the Philippines, which was a colony of America. Japan was well aware that if it attacked the Philippines, its retaliation would be carried out from the American naval base in the Pacific Ocean, Pearl Harbor. But because after Japan, all oil reserves were running out, and they had no other option but to attack. Not on the Philippines, but on Pearl Harbor. Yes, the Japanese military leader decided that he would attack America's Pearl Harbor base with a surprise attack and blow up the entire base. So that after that, Japan could easily take over the Philippines. Japan was now quietly preparing to attack Pearl Harbor. He started preparing his fleet, which included 2 battleships, 39 submarines, 30 destroyers, and 414 bomber aircraft on the Helsinki Island. These aircrafts were sent to Pearl Harbor through 6 aircraft carriers. On the other hand, if you estimate the American force standing on Pearl Harbor, there were 8 battleships, 59 anti-aircraft ships, 4 submarines, and 390 aircrafts. If you look at it, there was a lot of force in America to make Japan's attack a failure. But it was necessary for them to get information about this attack in advance. But Japan wanted to keep this attack a secret in every way. That's why the Japanese commander decided that before the attack, he would stay away from any kind of wireless communication. The force leaving Japan, after covering an area of about 8,000 kilometers, was now only 370 kilometers from Pearl Harbor. And this was the point from where the aircrafts were taken off to attack. This was going to be the biggest attack of World War II, in which America was not yet included. On the morning of December 7, 1941, 3,000 Japanese aircrafts from 757 landed in Pearl Harbor in two separate groups. The Americans, who were completely unaware of this attack, were surprised to see them. The first group of Japanese aircrafts fired bullets. They attacked Pearl Harbor for 45 minutes and then left again. They thought that the attack was over, but after 10 minutes, the second group of bomber aircrafts came and destroyed the high-level base of the Japanese aircrafts. The attack lasted for 1 hour and 15 minutes, and the Japanese aircrafts were destroyed at every turn. They destroyed 20 vessels, 8 battleships, and more than 300 planes. The ground was on fire, and the sky was covered with black clouds. During this time, there was an African-American bomber in a U.S. battleship, Doris Miller, which we mentioned at the beginning of the video. During the laundry collection, Doris heard a siren. After hearing this scary siren, a Japanese torpedo missile hit their ship, in which many officers, including the ship's captain, were injured. Doris moved the injured people to a safe place, and then went to the anti-aircraft machine gun, and attacked the Japanese aircrafts by himself. He fired a total of 6 Japanese torpedoes without a trigger. In this attack, Japan lost a total of 29 aircrafts. Doris Miller was the first African American, who was later awarded the Navy Cross. This award is the largest in the U.S. Navy, while it is the second largest in the United States after the Medal of Honor. After an hour and 15 minutes of attack, the Japanese aircrafts went back, but they had now pushed America into World War II. America was not part of World War II before this attack. The next day after the attack on Pearl Harbor, America decided to teach Japan a lesson, and did not declare open war against them. For the next 3 months, the United States was busy restoring its naval base. Unfortunately, many ships sank in shallow water, which were not reparable. 4 months later, the United States attacked Japan as it did at Pearl Harbor. Yes, in April 1942, the United States rained heavily on Japan's capital, Tokyo. This was America's first attack on World War II. But after a while, the United States lost. For the next 4 years, Japan and the United States had a fierce battle, in which the United States had the upper hand. Japan had become very weak in this battle, but it was in no way giving up. It was not surrendering to the Americans. Finally, in August 1945, the United States used its last card against Japan. On August 6, 1945, at 8 a.m., a Boeing B-29 Superfortress aircraft landed in Hiroshima, Japan. This aircraft dropped a 4,400 kilograms little boy-like bomb on Hiroshima. Exactly 43 seconds later, there was a powerful explosion and everything went white. After that, a fireball went from the ground to the sky, which brought the temperature of the ground to 5,000 degrees Celsius. This was the first nuclear attack in history, which made more than 80% of the buildings in Hiroshima a pile of soil. Like Japanese military leaders, it was a pile of soil. Now they understood something else. After 3 days, on August 9, the United States dropped a nuclear bomb on Nagasaki, Japan. This was a Mark III bomb, codenamed Fat Man. As soon as the 4,670 kilograms bomb fell, the entire city was covered with a layer of mud. These are the 2 nuclear bombs used on humans, the first and last bombs. According to an estimate, about 260,000 people died in the Hiroshima and Nagasaki attacks. In the next week of this attack, the U.S. soldiers surrendered, and with it, World War II also came to an end. We hope you will like and share this video as well. Thank you for your kind comments. See you in the next video.